Today we're going to be teaching you how to edit like Lyrical Lemonade, teaching you 3 crazy but subtle effects that you can create for your music videos inside of After Effects. Let's go. Alright guys, so the first Lyrical Lemonade effect we're going to be creating is this crazy like mini visual within the eyeball effect. I think it looks really dope. Shout out to Noah Kegler, I got this idea from him. He made this crazy Summer Smash ad with the race car and it just looks absolutely insane. Like that is sick. But anyways, this effect has been used widely across a couple other music videos. I think it was used in the Bad Time music video and a couple other instances. It's just a very like nice niche and subtle effect, but it really makes your videos stand out. So anyways, how we're going to be creating it is of course we're going to have to go out and film something. So I have this shot right here of my eyeball. I went outside on my balcony, grabbed my camera, shot it in 4K, and then I just tried to make sure I stand really still and look directly into the camera. And I kind of just like opened my eyes a little bit. If you want to mess around with this clip directly with my eye, that's kind of weird, but I mean, you can. So I've linked it below in the description for a free download. So you could just test with something, or you can go out and shoot your own footage. Let's get straight into it. So the first thing that we're going to do right here is we are going to have to track. So I have the original clip right here all in 4K. What we're first going to do is we're going to go over here to our tracker panel and we're going to hit stabilize motion. Stabilize motion. So it's all the same in tracking. You're going to zoom in, you're going to see this tracking point 1 right here, and we are going to find an object that we can track. And the funny part is that if you actually zoom in, you can literally see my camera in my pupil right here. So I'm just going to draw the inside box around my camera. The inside box is the object that we're tracking. The outside box is the range that area can move within the span of a frame. Kind of sounds complicated, but it makes sense as we move on. If you don't know how to track, by the way, we have a more in-depth tutorial linked right here, which you can check out. Let's just go ahead and proceed with this track. I've lined it up with my camera and now I'm going to hit the play button. Watch it very carefully because After Effects is known to mess up and make mistakes, but so far it's doing a pretty good job. We're going to go ahead and speed this part up. Once After Effects is done tracking, we're going to go ahead and hit apply and then just make sure it's X and Y dimensions and hit OK. And now if you play this out, boom, you can see our eyeball is directly stabilized in the exact middle. There's no movement at all whatsoever around the pupil and it's perfect for making the effect now. By the way, if your tracker messed up, your eyeball just like went into like the completely wrong direction, like mid frame, that's either because your outside tracking box is too big or your inside tracking box is too small. You just have to mess around and play with it. It might mess up the first time. It might go smooth. You know, it's just really dependent on what clip and video you're using. Like I said, we go more in depth in it here in this tutorial, so I recommend you checking it out there. Anyways, let's move on with the effect. So now I'm going to go into my project. I have 2 images, 2 files that we're going to be messing with. First up, I have this little like parking lot screenshot right here, just literally from Google Maps. This is going to serve as the background visual. And next up, I have the actual race car video itself. So I'm going to scale this up right here and let's go to a cool part in this green screen of this Porsche. Now that I have my car and my background video, I'm going to search up the key light effect, of course, and apply it to the video so I can just remove this green screen and let's just readjust this Porsche so that it's like exactly where I want it. And now if we play that out, boom, we got this. Oh, that's way too big. Now if we play that out, boom, we have this nice Porsche video. It's pretty basic and rough, but you know, it gets the job done. So now let's go ahead and pre-comp this. We're going to select these top 2 layers, the parking lot and the Porsche video, and we're going to right click and pre-compose. You can name it whatever you want. Just make sure you click move all attributes into the new composition and hit OK. Now we have a singular pre-comp layer. Let's go back to our effects and presets and search for the optics compensation effect. We're going to apply that to our pre-comp. We are now just going to go ahead and turn up that field of view so that it starts like rounding out this effect. Now this part is very important. You want to make sure it's directly centered on the exact effect you want. So I'm going to adjust the field of view so that's directly on like the back of the car and lined up right there. And then I'm just going to increase that field of view a little bit more until we get a more like circular spheric visual. I'm going to go ahead and scale this down by holding shift so that it locks in place. And let's go ahead and line this up with my eyeball now. So I'm just zooming in. And boom, there we go. Now we have a pretty good visual of like the effect and it's like playing out in my eyeball. Now let's just go ahead and blend everything in, make it look a lot more smoother. I'm going to turn off the visibility of this pre-comp first because now what we need to do is we need to create an actual like base layer color for my pupil. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit layer, hit new, create a new solid, and then we're going to grab this eyedropper tool and select like the brown color right here in my pupil and hit OK. Now we got a crazy just straight brown layer. Let's go ahead and turn down the opacity just a little bit so we can see through it and create a mask directly around my eyeball. I'm going to use my pen tool just so that I can adjust like the feathering more properly, and let's draw a very rough circle. Now that we have our mask done, we can turn the opacity back up, and let's also just go ahead and turn up the feathering of our mask right here so that it's just nice and soft around the edges, and I might decrease the expansion a bit as well. Boom, there we go. Now we have a pretty good base layer, and if we turn back on the pre-comp layer, put it on top of our pupil right here, things are kind of looking a lot better and a lot smoother. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create another mask once again just for the pre-comp right here, just so that we can like feather the edges of this visual. Doesn't have to be perfect, but now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and once again mess around with the expansion and feather so that it actually kind of blends into the eyeball. And once we turn up the feather, you really start to see the effect like taking the play and actually starts looking nice. I'm just going to also go ahead and scale it down a little bit more as well, just so that it fits within the pupil. And lastly, I'm going to turn the opacity down to about like 75% so that it's like actually blended in there. And now if we play that out, boom, we got a crazy like eyeball visual effect. It's actually starting to look a lot better, especially with the tracking and everything, and the colors looking really nice. Last but not least, all we got to do is we just have to pre-compose the solid layer with the pre-comp. Once again, we're pre-comping a lot here. Right click and pre-comp, hit OK, and we're just going to create one more mask. This time it's going to be an animated mask directly around my eyelid so that we can actually get the pupil like inside of my eye actually. Hit the drop down on the mask on the pre-comp and hit a keyframe at the mask path at the very beginning. I'm also going to turn up the feather just a tad bit as well. And then let's just go ahead and adjust the mask as my eyeball opens, and boom, there we go. We have a crazy eyeball tracking effect with like the visual inside of it. Last but not least, I just recommend going ahead, pre-composing everything together, like the video, the overlay, pre-compose it into one big file, and then just scale it up so that there's no like transparent edges around the border. And then apply your color grade, and boom, there you go. You have a crazy eye visual effect. Let's move on to the next effect. All right, for this next effect, shout out to Diamond Visuals. He's really been killing it with this one. This is a rotoscoping collage split screen effect. There's multiple applications of it, but from this one, we're using inspiration from the Bad Time music video by Lil Tecca. I think it's really dope right here. It's also really simple to recreate. For this one, all you're gonna need right now is a clip of your subject and then 4 to 5 frames of different freeze frame shots or cool visuals during your music video. So I have a wheel right here, Tecca, his like chain, and then this girl right here. So what we're gonna do is we're going to be using all these for the collage. Just make sure you have them set aside in your timeline, like maybe about 3 to 4 frames each. Now what we're going to do is we are going to rotoscope Tecca. For those of you who don't know how to rotoscope, we have this tutorial which you can watch right here. It's really simple. If you don't know, we hit Command D to duplicate the layer, double click the layer, grab your roto brush tool, and then just draw over your subject until you get that pink outline over them. If you get a yellow error, it says there's a frame rate mismatch, go to your composition settings and then just change the frame rate to whatever the little yellow error says. But I'm really not going to go into that. I hope you know how to rotoscope, so we're just going to go ahead and skip past this part right now. So now we have a rotoscope layer on the top. I'll just turn off my bottom layer so you can see it right here. I'm going to go ahead and label this pink so we know that's our rotoscope layer. What we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and start with our collage. We're going to first grab our first frame right here, and the key thing about this first collage effect that we're creating is it needs to line up with actual video parts of your original shot. So right here we have these like different lines on the back of the wall, so I'm going to have the effect so like each line is going to flash as like a different video scene. It's going to look really cool, and that way the viewer's eyes are already attuned to the scene, so it's not like super crazy or obnoxious when the effect comes into play. I'm going to turn on the visibility of that first layer. Let's go ahead and move the girl over here to the left by holding shift, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my pen tool and I'm just going to create a very rough mask, lines and lines. Boom, there you go. And now let's just go ahead and line up that mask with the rest of that line right there, and boom, there you go. Honestly, I think it looks pretty nice right there. And then let's just move it ahead like 3 frames. Now if we play it out, boom, we got this nice little flash effect. Let's just continue this for the rest of these frames. I'm going to do it for the next frame just to show you how you can do it one more time before I let you do it on your own. This run right here, we have this chain, and I'm going to do this on the next 2 panels. Once again, grab my pen tool. Let's just create a very simple rough mask, and then we're just going to line up the edges after. and boom, you kind of get the idea. Just continue this process for the rest of the clips that you have, or however many other collage effects you want, and then you can go ahead and repeat it, duplicate it, and whatnot. I'm gonna go ahead and speed this part up, but it's basically the same process. So boom, now you can see I played it out right here. We have the original masks, and then I just went ahead and repeated it going back the other way, and now we have this crazy little collage effect with different visuals from the music video. Another cool trick, if you want to just like switch up the scene or whatever, because the mask is already done, you can just go ahead and extend that clip, that singular clip, and then just move it to a different scene right there, so that you get some like different visuals within your collage. And it's just a really fun, cool way to like spice things up. So that's the first split screen roto effect. One other bonus effect which I wanted to teach, which I always think is really cool, is this split screen roto effect. Now this split screen roto effect has been used a lot recently in a lot of Lyrical Lemonade videos, and it's really easy to recreate. So now that we're back in our main comp, I'm just going to go ahead and turn off the collage layer visibility right here, so we can work with it. I now just imported another shot of the music video right here of Tekka just performing, and what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and hold shift, move it to the right here. Let's grab my rectangle tool this time actually, and I'm just going to draw a very simple rough rectangular mask, and then we can just go ahead and adjust it a little bit further so that it lines up with that middle line in the shot right there. Then let's turn back on our rotoscope layer, and boom, there you go. That's it. That's literally the split screen roto effect. It's really simple, but it looks really cool and adds a different level of spice to your videos. It's been used a lot recently in the concrete videos as well, so I definitely recommend you messing around with it, having fun with it, just kind of spicing things up. But with that, let's move on to the next effect. Alright guys, the last Lyrical Lemonade effect is this mixed media effect that they've been using crazy ton amount in all their recent music videos. It's really simple, very minimal, but it also looks really good and really clean. And I'll tell you the secret and reason why. They use real paper. They print out all their frames like manually on a real piece of paper, cut them out, line them up on the screen frame by frame, and it looks good because it's a lot of work. So how do we recreate it? Well, there's two ways that you can do it. You can do it the hard way, which is actually printing it out and doing all the paper effects yourself, which is going to get you the best result, but it takes a lot of time and effort. Or you can use the easy way, which we're going to be using some digital assets linked below in the description. So the timestamps for the hard and easy method are linked right here. Without further ado, let's first start off with the hard method, which is actually printing out these frames. So first thing you're going to do is get your clip, and you're just going to have to go in and take screenshots of all of these frames by hitting this little camera screenshot button, and then it'll save to a folder wherever you put that folder in your computer. And then just go ahead and open up a Google Doc, and you can just paste all these frames out in a sequence. So I made this Google Doc, went to my campus printer and printed out all these frames right here. Sorry, we only have black and white, no color, but I don't know, I think it'll be a cool effect. This part you don't have to. I took a photo of it with my A7 III, which shoots RAW. So I went to Lightroom and just touched up some of the colors so that things look a little bit better, but you can see it really makes a huge difference. We got that actual like print texture, looks really, really nice and like authentic mixed media. So now what we're gonna do is let's go back into After Effects, drag in that sequence of frames right here into our file. Make sure you have the same aspect ratio, and we're just gonna hold shift and scale everything up. Now this part is pretty tedious, repetitive, but it's very simple and easy. What I'm gonna do is, by the way, I'm in the composition setting of 24 frames per second, very important. I'm just gonna go 2 frames, hit Command Shift D, split it, and then on that next one, just move to the next frame, just like that. 2 more frames, Command Shift D, and then go down to the next frame. And you just basically repeat this process until you've finished all these frames. So I think I have 10 total frames. If you do the math, and we're at 12 frames per second, since it's 2 frames every frame, we basically have under a second of effects, which is pretty crazy given the fact that we're doing so much work to create this effect. So that's why I'm saying it is a lot harder creating it this way, but it really creates a better result. So I'm gonna go ahead and speed up this part. Okay, so now once you've lined up all the frames for your mixed media sequence right here, we got this shot of draft day. Honestly, it looks pretty cool, just the fact that we have that print texture. The halftone really makes a huge difference, seriously. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go ahead and line it up directly after the frame on the actual video. So I believe it's like right here. And then let's just line up with the paper effects. And now if we play it out, boom, we got this like crazy mixed media cut. Another way to spice this effect up and make it look just cooler is adding some camera shake. So we're gonna be using our Shake It Up V2 pack, which we just re-released for After Effects. It's really simple to recreate. All you have to do is open up a 1920 by 1080 composition, create a new adjustment layer right here so that the adjustment layer is 1080 by 1920. And then let's go ahead and paste that adjustment layer back into our main comp. Let's move it 4 frames before the effect. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Sure, we can do 5. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the other side as well. Hit Command Shift D to split that adjustment layer. Then all I have to do is go to my effects and presets, search for the Shake It Up V2 pack, and let's use a hit 4 right here and apply that, and boom, now we got some crazy camera shake applied to it. Just like kind of shakes the video a little bit, and then it cuts into the mixed media effect, which I think looks pretty cool. I believe we also have a spin effect, which is also really cool. This one adds a lot of camera shake and motion blur to it. But as you can see, there's just so many presets right here that we can choose from. I'm gonna go ahead and settle with the swipe right with the flash right here. I think that one looks pretty crazy. Just given the camera shake and then it cuts to the mixed media effect, looks really, really dope. And with that, that's how you create it using the hard method with all the like printing out, lining up the frames, everything. We do get some authentic mixed media effects. Another thing you can do is draw on this and like cut it up with the X-Acto knife, which is another level of like mixed media and making things look even cooler. But now what we're gonna do is we're gonna be using a digital method, a lot easier method, and we're gonna be using our most recent mixed media newspaper overlay pack, which we just dropped at 11%.net. This pack comes with over 60 plus overlay files of like mixed media paper text and textures that you can just apply to your video. Really simple. By the way, we also have a free sample of it, so if you want to test it out completely for free, no cost to you. I think there's like a couple files in there you can mess around with. But let's just go ahead and create this using this pack and these files, because you don't have to do any of this work. You don't have to print out all the frames. None of that saves you so much time. So let's go ahead, delete that. We don't need it anymore. I'm going to turn off the visibility of the shake layer. I'm going to hit Command D to duplicate the layer, trim it down directly at where I want the mixed media effect to start. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my effects and search for the posterized time effect. Apply the posterized time effect to the second layer, change the frame rate to 12. And now you can see we have this like similar stop motion like feel to it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to our mixed media overlay pack right here. By the way, we have like alphabet letters, we got numbers, we got borders, we got transitions, just a bunch of crazy overlays. I'm going specifically to the textures folder and dragging in this paper texture, which I created. I think this really is an easy way to just shortcut your way to the mixed media effect. Trim it down to the effect. It's in 4K, so we're going to scale it down as well. And I'm going to drag it just below that camera shake layer as well. Now all I have to do is hit the blend mode on the mixed media overlay, hit screen, and boom, there we go. We have a crazy mixed media effect, and we get it in color as well, which I think is really cool. And if I turn on that camera shake as well, we got that crazy camera shake and that like mixed media paper texture that just really ties things together. The other cool part about this pack is that we got other stuff like borders. So I'd recommend adding like a newspaper border. I think this is like a really fun, cool one. Just grab your key light effect right here, drag it to the border, key out that green, and boom, there you go. Now we got some like newspaper borders on it, and I'm going to drag that of course below the camera shake again, and boom, now we have like a mixed media newspaper border. Looks really cool, super simple, just drag and drop, and takes like 1/10 of the time compared to doing it in real life. So with that, that's the final Lyrical Lemonade effect, which you can use mixed media. I recommend messing around with it. There's so many different creative options and ways you can create mixed media effects. If you want to check out that mixed media overlay pack right here, you can get the free sample link below in the description, or if you want, you can get the full pack right here, which comes with 60 more overlay files right here. They're all 4K, super easy to use, just drag and drop. Hope you found something helpful from this tutorial. Leave a comment down below if you had any questions or concerns and what tutorial you'd like to see from us next. And with that, I'll see you all in the next video. Happy editing.